Oh man, is it that time again? Yes, it is. This is Sunday night. It is May the 24th, 2026. And this is the Sunday night soul session, which means you are tuned in to the cave within, baby. Your live digital sanctuary for all things poetry, meditation, and stillness. Just to help us train the mind a little bit better so the body can follow through. For those who tuned in to every single broadcast on the Cave Within Sanctuary, again, your balanced fusion of poetry, meditation, and stillness, I welcome y'all back. Cheers to y'all coming back once again for another broadcast. And that is word to this cup of green tea that I'm drinking right now as we speak, with a little bit of lemon juice in there for that extra citrus vitamin C boost. Just me diving into my nutritionist hat here briefly. But for those who are listening to the Cave Within Sanctuary for the first time, I want to welcome you aboard and eventually welcome you home, my beloved friends and family and beloved souls out there, because the cave within is officially the quiet place. This is the place where the overall week that you had from start to finish as of right now can loosen its grip. This is the place where your shoulders can fall. This is the place where your soul can finally have a seat somewhere, sit down and relax, especially for Sunday night soul sessions here within the cave within, because this is not a performance or a race, y'all. This is simply a return to yourself. And it's kind of like what I talked about within my poem that I did 2 days ago for the Friday Night Lights stream. It's all about returning to yourself. Return to your breath, your stillness, a part of you that never stopped being held. Let's just put it like that, because again, for my first time listeners, if you have came in carrying too much, just know, maybe if your mind has been loud or your heart has been tired or maybe your spirit's been asking, is there still peace for me? I know I've been there a couple of times, but here's the answer to that question. It's yes, of course. Yes, there is. And for all my first time listeners, this is your official invitation and at the same time introduction to the cave within, your live digital sanctuary for all things poetry, meditation, and stillness. And we are coming in hot, baby. We are coming in hot. But what we're going to do to kind of set the tone on this Sunday night soul session, this spiritual Sunday to close things out for the evening, as we always do, let us take our first breath together as we inhale through our nose for 3 to 5 seconds, of course. Inhale through your nose. And as you inhale through your nose, simply hold your breath for 3 to 5 seconds, feeling the breath flowing within you. As you exhale through your nose or mouth, whichever's more suitable and comfortable, we'll do that once again together like we normally do. That way we can set the tone for some grounding to come, establish that stillness. Inhale through our nose once more for 3 to 5 seconds, and hold your breath for 3 to 5 seconds and slowly exhale through your nose or mouth for 3 to 5 seconds. And again, we're just letting the night receive you. We're letting the noise fall away. We're letting the room become softer, and we're letting this overall moment become holy. And honestly, that's the best way we can do it here within the cave within. And quite honestly, we're going to do a couple things a little bit different here on this Sunday night soul session. Matter of fact, we're going to dive into spoken word. We're going to not waste any time here on the cave within. We're going to dive into some poetry tonight on the cave within. And believe me, this is some spoken word poetry brought to you by the Cave Within poem series. Because this first poem that we're going to unveil to y'all this evening for this Sunday night soul session, we're diving in to the poem series for the Cave Within. So you can just call this the latest edition of the Cave from Within home series. Because let's just get right to it. There's a cave within you. It's not a cave of punishment, not a cave of hiding. It's a cave of becoming. It's a cave where the mask comes off. It's the cave where the noise cannot follow. It's the cave where your truest name is still being whispered by God. You do not enter the cave to disappear. You enter to be revealed. And yes, there are shadows in there, old fear, old grief, old ache, old stories that still try to speak like they own you. But stay long enough to hear what else lives there, because beneath the shadows, beneath the shaking, beneath the questions that you don't know how to ask out loud, there are jewels. There's strength forged in silence, wisdom pressed out by pressure, compassion born from surviving what should have broken you, tenderness that only the wounded can carry, courage that came from nights where when no one was clapping and yet you still kept breathing. The cave is not empty. It is full of evidence. Evidence that you lived, evidence that you endured, evidence that something sacred in you refused to die. And then slowly the light begins. Not a harsh light, not a spotlight, not a flood either, a whisper of dawn, a holy brightness touching the inside of the dark. And that dark, for all its noise, cannot outrun the light. So let there be light. Let there be light in the places I you hid. Let there be light in the places I fear. And let there be light in the places I still call broken. Let there be light. The Cave Within, the latest edition of the Cave Within poem series, courtesy of the Cave Within, your live digital sanctuary for that balanced fusion of poetry, meditation, and stillness. And oh, I almost forgot. Forgive me for all of my listeners of the broadcast of the Sunday Night Soul session from the Cave Within. You're probably thinking, where are you going with all this in this broadcast? Well, I forgot to mention almost the latest theme, and this theme kind of inspired me whenever I was recording my latest episode of the Spiritual Enlightenment series for the HFWB podcast series, which, by the way, that episode will probably be coming out within the next 2 days. Spoiler alert, public service announcement. I say all of that to say the theme that I was talking about in the podcast episode that I recorded earlier today for the Spiritual Enlightenment series, I talk about finding the voice of the Most High God, because the Most High God speaks to us, each and every single one of us, only in a way we can interpret it and understand it. It's just a matter of just letting his powerful inner voice whisper to us at the right moment in time to where we shall be guided, instructed, and directed in the right direction. And it really, when I think about finding God's voice, the Most High God's voice, coming back into with the original source of consciousness, the monad, the creator, the source, again, the Most High God. You could argue about the name, but you can't deny its existence. What comes to me when I think about finding the Most High God's voice is that the first thing that comes to mind for me personally is the law of inspired action, one of the 12 universal laws, because when I think of the law of inspired action, it has to do with that inner work, and it has to do with trusting kind of like that gentle, eternal nudge that will allow you to move forward when you feel like you're stuck and stagnant. And I feel like that's one of the best ways that we could find the voice of the Most High God and everything. It's just trusting that gentle, eternal nudge and trusting the traveling light of instruction, guidance, and sense of direction from the Most High God that will allow you to continue to go with the flow. And the best way we can do that is we have to be humble enough to surrender ourselves to the possibilities and the opportunities that the Most High God brings. Because At the end of the day, whether you want to look at it from the standpoint of we're fragments and pieces of the original source of consciousness, or you want to look at it from the perspective that we're children of the Most High God, at the end of the day, one, it all means the same thing. And two, it also means the importance of just continuing to figure out ways on how we could draw closer to the divine power that's within us that created everything in existence, therefore finding the voice of the most high God. And that it takes a lot of humility to do that, because if you're not humble enough to receive it, you're not going to be humble enough to give it back in return, first and foremost. So today's theme is all about finding the voice of the Most High God through the law of humility. And all of this is going to make sense as this broadcast of the Cave Within Sanctuary, this Sunday night soul session goes along. But before we dive into all that, it's only right, as I always do with every spoken word piece of the Cave Within, I read it a second time just so it could sink in. So once again, we're going to review the latest edition of the Cave Within poem series. Again, there is a cave within you, not a cave of punishment, not a cave of hiding, a cave of becoming, a cave where the mask comes off, where the noise cannot follow, where your truest name is still being whispered by the Most High God. You do not enter the cave to disappear. You enter to be revealed. And yes, there are shadows in there, old fears, old grief, old ache, old stories that still try to speak like they own you. But stay, stay long enough to hear what else lives there. But because beneath the shadows, beneath the shaking, beneath the questions, you don't know how to ask out loud, there are jewels, strength forged in silence, wisdom pressed out by pressure, compassion born from surviving what should have broken you, tenderness that only the wounded can carry, courage that came from nights when no one was clapping, and you still kept breathing. The cave is not empty, it is full of evidence. Evidence that you lived, evidence that you endured, evidence that something sacred in you refused to die, and then slowly the light begins. Not a harsh light, not a spotlight, not a flood, a whisper of dawn, a holy brightness touching the inside of the dark. And the dark, for all its noise, cannot outrun the light. So let there be light. Let there be light in the places I hid. Let there be light in the places I fear. Let there be light in the places I still call broken. Regardless, y'all, let there be light. And that is how we go from the cave to the crown. That is how we transform from the dark, from the darkness into the light. That is what the law of polarity is all about. Understanding that you can't have the light without the dark and the dark without the light. It talks about it in the book of Isaiah, how the Most High God created the light, created the darkness, created the peace, created the calamity. The Most High God created all of these things for a particular reason, to show us the good and the bad in each of those things, to show us the dance of duality and how to approach that dance of duality wisely, and understanding that there's two sides to every single coin. Regardless, again, you can't have the light without the dark, hot without cold. You could even make an argument you can't have love without fear or fear without love. Again, it's all a dance of duality. You take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. It's a little bit of a process called individuation, what Carl Jung talks about. You integrate the unconsciousness into the consciousness, because Carl Jung has a very famous quote, until, I mean, this is kind of paraphrased a little bit, until you make the unconsciousness consciousness, it will direct you really for the rest of your life, and it will be considered fate. And that's kind of like the paraphrased version of the Carl Jung quote. But regardless, you can't have one without the other, is originally what I'm saying. The law of polarity, y'all. But again, We're going to do something here a little bit different within the cave within. Before I go into the overall message of the theme and go into a little bit more spoken word poetry and all of that, we're going to do our meditation for the night just a little bit earlier than normal here within the cave within. Like I said, it doesn't hurt to switch things up every now and then as far as with the Sunday night soul session. So for those who listen to the broadcast on a regular basis, yes, we're doing our meditation a little bit earlier than is expected. That way we can be relaxed as we receive the overall message of the theme, finding the Most High God's voice through the law of humility. We're going to get to that, I promise. But for those who are listening for the first time, this is going to be kind of like our ambient frequency block, that moment of silence to help establish stillness through the power of meditation. Allow this to be a guided return to yourself, so to speak. So, what we're going to do, want us to simply soften the body from head to toe, release any stress and tension you may be feeling within the whole entire body. I want you to simply just let your body be here. I want you to close your eyes, soften your gaze, whichever's more comfortable. Let your feet remember the ground. If you're sitting down, nice, tall, and upright in a nice seated position. If you're laying down, perfectly fine. Just let your shoulders release, your jaw unclench. Open up your hands. That way you can allow the spirit to flow within you and the energy and frequency and vibrations to flow within you. As we inhale through our nose for 3 to 5 seconds, holding our breath for 3 to 5 seconds, exhaling slowly for 3 to 5 seconds. Again, like always, releasing ourselves from our thoughts, our emotions, our ego, our feelings. No need to solve anything right now. No need to fix the whole story tonight. We're just arriving, like always, as the watcher and the observer of our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions and our ego as we continue to inhale through our nose, exhale through our nose or mouth. Breathe in slowly within each inhale, inhaling calm, holding our breath for 3 to 5 seconds. And as we exhale, I want us to breathe out even slower, and let's repeat the process over and over again. And if our thoughts come, just let them pass like the wind through a field. If memories rise, let them rise. If emotions move, let them move. If your heart is tired, let it be tired. Just focus on the power of your breath, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your nose and mouth. Imagine yourself flowing like the river, being engaged with pure water sounds as we'll leave you here. Continue to dive into your meditation for this evening, the Sunday night soul session within the cave within, as you guide yourself through the power of your breath back to yourself. We'll check back in here in the next few minutes. You are tuned in to a special Sunday night soul session of the Cave Within Sanctuary. This is your balanced fusion for poetry, meditation, and stillness. We'll be right back, everyone. All right, everybody. As we continue to inhale through our nose, and as we continue to exhale through our nose and mouth, just a friendly reminder, you do not need to wrestle the night, y'all. You only need to be present inside it. As you simply whisper to yourself that I am here, I'm safe enough to soften, I do not have to outrun my feelings, I do not have to become someone else to deserve peace. As you take another inhale, as you take another exhale, just imagine a quiet light above you, not a crown of pride, but a crown of stillness, made of mercy, made of your breath, made of the kind of peace that does not shout but settle. I want this light that you imagine within each inhale and each exhale. I want this light to gently rest on your mind, your chest, anywhere you may feel tired, anywhere you may feel like you need some guarding or protection to be done. And as this rests, as we continue to transition back into the physical realm from our meditation, I want this to be like a small little prayer for you, rather. Tonight, I release what is too heavy. I keep what is true. I receive what is gentle. I return to myself. As we take our final three inhales and our final three exhales, like always, transitioning back into our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and our ego, acknowledging and accepting, embracing them after being the observer and watcher, of course. As we continue to inhale through our nose for 3 to 5 seconds, holding our breath for 3 to 5 seconds, and let's exhale slowly, like always, for 3 to 5 seconds. As we'll inhale once more through our nose, allowing the breath to expand our chest, expand our belly button, and then exhale, letting the power of the breath settle back in, or excuse me, letting your chest settle back in and your belly button to settle back into your stomach. Let's do one more inhale, one more exhale together to close out this meditation moment in the cave within. As we inhale through our nose one more time, through our nose for 3 to 5 seconds, holding the breath for 3 to 5 seconds, and then let's exhale slowly for 3 to 5 seconds. And remember, tonight, you release what is too heavy, you keep what is true, you receive what is gentle, and you return to yourself. And speaking of returning to ourselves, whenever you're ready, simply open your eyes. Let's tune in to some more humility as holy surrender. And that is something that is worth a round of applause every single time. Because when I think about humility, the law of humility for that matter, there's a lot of wisdom that does live in humility. And when I think about humility, it's not really humiliation or shame or shrinking down to a certain size. Humility, see, there's a holy kind of humility. There's a kind of humility that says, I no longer need to pretend I am untouchable. That's something I'm going to read it say again for the people in the back. You know you reached a certain level of humility when you no longer need to pretend that you are untouchable. There's a certain kind of humility that says, this is where I am, and it means it without apology. Because I've been realizing this a little bit more lately than ever. I've been realizing that change begins when truth becomes more welcome. It's not necessarily when we fight the truth or when we try to dress it up like in its favorite outfit or something, or even not when we perform over it, to be quite honest with y'all. But when we kneel before it, surrender ourselves to it, let that divine grace touch the place we were afraid to name, That's really what kind of the overall message is behind the theme, finding the Most High God's voice through the law of humility. Tonight, if there's like a burden that you have been carrying, maybe we should ask ourselves this. And this is something that I'm working on every single day. And I'm challenging you, the people who are listening to this Cave Within Sunday night soul session, to do. Ask yourself these questions gently, of course. What am I still resisting? What am I still pretending not to feel? What am I being asked to accept so that I can finally feel? Again, what am I resisting? What am I still pretending not to feel? And what am I being asked to accept so I can finally feel? Here's a little bit of a prayer that you could add to that since this is the Sunday night soul session. Let's throw in a little bit of prayer on top of those questions, shall we? Dear Most High God, original source of consciousness, the power of the monad, the creator, the source of all things, the Most High God, give me the humility to accept what is true. Give me the courage to change what can be changed. Give me the wisdom to know the difference. And give me peace while I learn. In the Almighty Savior Yeshua HaMashiach's name, I pray. And that is a yes. Always. That is an automatic yes. And honestly, oh yeah, I did promise y'all a second poetry piece. You know, for those who listen to the Cave Within on a regular basis, you know I got to do at least two poems for y'all. So I figured we'd transition into the second piece of poetry before we do a little bit of some reflection, all those type of things. So this is going to be a unique poem that I actually put together for this theme earlier today, specifically. It's called The Soul's Quiet Litany, Litany, The Soul's Quiet Litany. And of course, it goes like this. You do not need to become louder to become strong. You do not need to become harder to become safe. You do not need to become perfect to become worthy. Some nights strength looks like breathing. Some nights victory looks like resting. Some nights faith looks like not forcing the answer. There is a sacredness in the pause, a holiness in the stillness, a deep unspoken sermon inside the simple act of softening. Let your spirit hear this. You are not behind. You are not abandoned. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are being led. You are being held. You are being shaped by a mercy that knows your name. So, what is your name underneath the soul's quiet litany? That's some spoken words for you, y'all. That is some real spoken words. We're going to run that back a second time for the people in the back, just so it could sink in like always within the cave within. Because honestly, that's what it's all about. So here we go, y'all. And let me know how y'all are feeling in the chat as well. My apologies. I just realized I haven't even acknowledged the chat almost a little over 30 minutes in. Let me know how y'all are feeling in the chat on a regular basis as well. I've been so locked into the Sunday night soul session. My apologies for not acknowledging y'all from the jump. Show some love in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling. And at the same time, if this whole entire sanctuary is bringing something within your spirit, within your soul, hit that subscribe button. This is kicks.com/ Mr. Did Not Give Up 44, based off of my book, The Man Who Did Not Give Up. Get your copy on Amazon. That way you can have your own resilience plan to help overcome the resistance, the chaos, turmoil, and uncertainty that we all go through on a regular basis in life. Fast forward, that's where the tag at Mr. Did Not Give Up 44 came from. And obviously the 44 is that actually used to be my basketball number back in high school, my sophomore, junior, and senior year at Moody High School. And the number 44 has pretty much just stuck with me ever since because of that. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But other than that, The soul's quiet litany. And again, we're about to run it back once again. The soul's quiet litany. You do not need to become louder to become strong. You do not need to become harder to become safe. You do not need to become perfect to become worthy. Some nights strength looks like breathing. Some nights victory looks like resting. Some nights faith looks like not forcing the answer. There is a sacredness in the pause, a holiness in the stillness, a deep unspoken sermon inside the simple act of softening. Let your spirit hear this. You are not behind. You are not abandoned. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are being led. You are being held. You are being shaped by a mercy that knows your name. What's my name again? Under the soul's quiet litany. And I say that particular spoken word piece to say this. If the weak left fingerprints on your heart, let them be washed away here within the cave within. If the day pressed too hard, let this night press gently back, courtesy of the cave within. And if your soul has been running on fumes, let this be your refill that you were looking for, courtesy of the cave within sanctuary, your live digital sanctuary, of course, for that balanced fusion of poetry, meditation, and stillness. Look at us, y'all. 40 minutes in, we already covered all of the balanced fusion, and now we're just guiding you into returning to yourself, doing a little bit of reflection on top of that as we continue to breathe, as we continue to receive, as we continue to release ourselves and return to ourselves stronger and tougher and more resilient than ever. That's what it's all about within the cave within every single time. And speaking of that, this is a really good time again as we continue to switch things up a little bit within this Sunday night soul session, just to kind of add a little bit more salt. That way we can continue to preserve the seasoning and preserve the flavor of the cave within, right? That's how we're going to do it. So we're going to go into a little bit of a journaling and a reflection moment, courtesy of the cave within. So if you have like a journal nearby, I want you to utilize the pen for your journal, and I want you to form a prayer out of this. Or a matter of fact, I want this to become a prayer for you. You don't need perfect answers in this particular moment. You just need honest answers. I want you, I'm challenging you to do this, as a matter of fact. I want you to write what the soul has been too tired to say. What have I been carrying that is no longer mine to hold? That's one thing you could start off with. Write this particular question, what I have been carrying that is no longer mine to hold. Maybe something like, where have I been mistaking striving for healing? Because that can be a big thing right there. Another thing you can write down is what in me needs tenderness instead of correction. What am I grateful for, maybe, or even in the middle of becoming, possibly? Does that ring a bell? Let me know how you're feeling in the chat about all these journaling and reflection questions within this journaling and reflection moment. What would it mean to come home to myself without fear? Um, and if words do not come, sit in the silence and let it write you. Again, if you have a journal nearby with a pen or next to it, you don't need to have perfect answers to all the questions that I just mentioned. Just be honest with yourself. Write what the soul has been too tired to say. Write whatever comes to you in the particular moment in time. Let it all spill out in your journal. Let it all spill out from the ink of the pen. What have you been carrying that is no longer yours to hold? Because we're all holding on to something that doesn't need to be carried not too much for a particular amount of time that we probably should have released and let go of a long time ago. We've all been there and done that. I'll be lying if I said I didn't. Where have we mistaken striving for healing? Because a lot of us are getting by, but a lot of us are not necessarily healing ourselves to the best of our abilities and to the best of our capabilities. It's like we're constantly on the go, but at the same time, we're neglecting ourselves of our health and our overall well-being. That's a great example right there on why how we can mistake striving for healing. We think we're doing good just because we're getting by and surviving and striving, but we could be neglecting ourselves in the process. So that's something to think about. It really is. Um, what in me needs tenderness instead of correction? That could be taken in a different types of ways right there. What am I grateful for? And even in the middle of becoming. This is very, very interesting because within the Sunday service at Redemptive Truth that took place earlier today, I was kind of asked to give, a message in regards to our Sunday school service, or Sunday school that we have been having at Redemptive Truth lately before the actual service. I kind of got I kind of got thrown into the deep end and hoping that I could swim my way out of it because I honestly wasn't prepared. Well, I honestly wasn't expecting to deliver the Sunday school message today, but it turns out, hey, why not? Because sometimes you got to do what you got to do in those kind of situations. So when I think of the question as far as what am I grateful for, even in the middle of becoming, what comes to mind for me is the importance of just, you know, saying thanks and giving thanks and treating gratitude as a lifestyle and not just a response. And that's kind of what I talk about in this particular message that I delivered within the Sunday school and everything. And what kind of comes to mind to me when I think about that, it's like, what am I grateful for in the middle of becoming? Honestly, at this particular moment in time in my life, for me personally, I could say I'm grateful for the big things, small things, and everything in between, even through the best of times and even through the worst of times, even during the times when I'm full of love, and even during the times where fear may rise. And even if fear does rise, it's kind of like what I mentioned in my Sunday school message to the Redemptive Truth Ministry earlier today. We have to start naming what the Most High God has already done. We could be grateful for the things like the Most High God kept us, provided for us, healed us, continues to provide us strength through the power of the Christ. And most simply, the Most High God continues to make a way by allowing us to wake up every single day. That alone is something that we could be grateful for while we're in the middle of becoming the best version of ourselves that we can be every single day, to say the least. What would it mean to come home to myself without fear? Well, the way I would look at it, give a little bit of an explanation from my perspective. Fight fear with hope, truth, community, and worship. That would be one way to do it. Fight fear with hope, community, truth, and worship. Pardon me. But regardless, within this journaling and within this reflection moment that we're participating in right now, if words don't come to you in this particular moment in time, just sit in the silence and let it write you from within. You can even whisper to yourself, tonight I receive whatever comes to you. Or tonight I release whatever comes within me. All of those things. My apologies, y'all. Have to finish up my cup of green tea here as we wind things down on this Sunday night soul session. here at the Cave Within, your live digital sanctuary for that balanced fusion of poetry, meditation, and stillness. And speaking of stillness, before I forget, if this kind of sacred stillness speaks to you, if your spirit is hungry for more of this kind of energy, this frequency, this vibration that the Cave Within sanctuary is bringing off to you, that is bringing off within you, there are more places that you can rest. Here's a place you can start. My poetry book, The Infinity Chakras Journey Within, to where you could explore poetic inspirations and have a spiritual awakening, realigning yourself with the seven main chakras, the main energy discs that are connected to certain major body systems within you that serve as energy centers that allow you to, of course, keep the energy in motion to where you can stay motivated in motion. You can get your copy of my latest poetry book, Infinity Chakras Journey Within, on Amazon in ebook and paperback. You can also get my latest book based off of exercise transformation of the mind, body, and spirit, based on the triple threat system that I practice on a regular basis, that I have all of my clients practice on a regular basis, as far as primal pattern movements that come from mastering push motion, pull motion, hip hinge motion, squat motion, lunge motion, basic gait movements, in simpler terms, walking, running, sprinting, etc. And also just simple rotations of your upper body, your torso area. That is what consists of primal pattern movements, which is pretty much been embedded within us within our infant development stages since we were babies. And that's what the hunter gatherers, cavemen relied on for survival instincts, which is why we could never avoid primal pattern movements within our exercise. Complement that with mindful nutrition as far as eating to live and versus living to eat. Because I tell my clients this all the time, you can't outwork a bad diet. 20% of establishing healthier habits with a holistic approach, it comes down to what you put inside of your body versus the actual workout. Workout's only 20%, other 80% is nutrition, mindful nutrition, that is. And then I talk about the importance of intermittent to extended fasting as far as just incorporating some form of weekly fast into your regime, maybe a 24 to 36-hour fast a week, or like I do personally, at least 36 to 48-hour weekly fast and a 72-hour fast or longer once a month that really benefit as far as renewing, detoxing, and resetting the mind, body, and spirit. Regardless, I talk about all those things in my latest book, The Fitness Mirage, which is available on Amazon as we speak. Oh, and by the way, if you go to gumroad.com, that's gumroad.com, you could also get the Infinity Chakra poetry book and my Fitness Mirage book in audio book by typing in my name, Clifton Pope, on gumroad.com, or you could type in Infinity Chakras Journey Within or Fitness Mirage on gumroad.com, and it'll bring up my whole entire e-commerce store to where you can again get the Infinity Chakras poetry book and the Fitness Mirage transformation book, both in audio book on gumroad.com. And while we're mentioning Gumroad, I do have my Nighttime Sanctuary Volume 1 pack that's available on Gumroad that features my two guided meditations, one on leadership, one on letting go of fear. And I also have the Nighttime Sanctuary Volume 2 pack available on my same Gumroad e-commerce store, where that features two poems, one on taking action and the other one on energy and vibration. So be sure to check that out on the Gumroad. That's gumroad.com. Type in Clifton Pope, type in Nighttime Sanctuary Volume 1 or 2 pack, and type in Infinity Chakra or Fitness Mirage on the Gumroad platform. And you can get all of those resources that are in my e commerce store as we speak. And also for anyone who's interested in setting up free consultations in person or online for whether it's my holistic fitness program, whether it's my holistic nutrition program, or my exercise transformation program. You can reach out to me, give me a call, 361-765-4760. That's my personal phone number to where you can call or text me directly, or you can email me, cpope.cp@gmail.com. Either way, reach out to me. I'll get back to you in a timely manner. We'll set up that free consultation to where we can put together a customizable program to where we can hit the reset button on your nervous system and help you establish healthier lifestyle with a holistic approach. And lastly, before I forget, don't forget to tune in to episodes of the HFWB podcast series that is on Apple and Spotify podcasts, that is on Rumble. And that way you can tune into every conversation, become empowered, uplifted, and inspired by the information that will allow you to cash in on the opportunity for another teachable moment to learn and make that deposit into your personal ATM to where you can withdraw it at any given moment in time, depending on what you're involved in. Now, again, these are all more than just, products and services. These are tools that will help you become a better version of yourselves when it's all said and done. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's definitely worth the investment. That's for sure. And all these, again, tools that I just mentioned, these are for the ones who are still becoming, still healing, still learning how to breathe again. And as a friendly reminder, if this sanctuary continues to help you breathe easier, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, kicks.com /Mr. Did Not Give Up 44, at Mr. Did Not Give Up 44. If you feel moved to support this movement, I thank you so much because with what you give, it helps keeps this quiet light within the cave within sanctuary burning that allows the salt that seasons to preserve its flavor within the cave within, and that quiet light that burns so slow but yet so bright that it still shines bright every single time. As we bring everything to a close within this cave within Sunday night soul session, and boy, it was definitely a powerful one for sure. I figured we'd close with some gifts, close in some blessings, so to speak. But most importantly, let's close in some gifts because the gift is that the gift, each gift is worth it in the present moment. That's for sure. So I say all of that to say, may your night be tender, may your sleep be deep, may your spirit feel safe enough to rest, may your body remember peace, may your mind grow quiet, may your heart grow brave, may the light within you rise gently, without pressure, performance, or fear. And may you remember you are not last, you are not forgotten, you are not beyond repair, you are in process, you are held, and you are becoming. Take one final breath with me before we close out for the night as we inhale one more time through our nose, holding our breath for 3 to 5 seconds, and let's exhale one final time for 3 to 5 seconds. Thank you for being here, y'all. Thank you for returning. Thank you for hanging out with me on another Sunday night soul session for the Cave Within, your live digital sanctuary for all things poetry, meditation, and stillness. And we came in hot once again for another episode. I love y'all. I want y'all to rest well, my beloved friends. I'm wishing y'all a wonderful, restful night, a peaceful night. Have a good night. This is Clifton Pope. This is the Cave Within live digital sanctuary for that balanced fusion of poetry, meditation, and stillness. And there was definitely a lot of that tonight. And once again, this is the Sunday night soul session concluded here in the Cave Within live digital sanctuary. This is your guide, Clifton Pope, wishing you nothing but peace, love, and light. Continue to shine bright and have a wonderful night. Salute from the cave within sanctuary, y'all.